Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about what to do if you find yourself in a fast-paced medical coding program. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, last night I was talking about how to prepare yourself for the CPC exam. And I always mention that if you are going through a fast-paced medical coding program, meaning that your program is less than 9 months, because I always recommend at least going for 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months to learn medical coding. That way you're not learning it so fast, because to go through one of these short programs like these 4-month programs or 6-month programs, guys, it's entirely too fast, especially if you have no background in medical. And sometimes even if you have a background in medical, it is still difficult because learning medical coding is like learning a brand new language. It is like starting from the ground up when you're trying to learn something, because there's a lot of rules and you're not just learning one book, you're learning 3 books, and sometimes you're learning 4 different books. And so with that, you have different rules for different things. And so it takes time to learn. But sometimes folks get caught up in these fast-paced medical coding programs. Sometimes they're sold this product like, oh yeah, you can finish a program really quickly and you can be on your way to a brand new career. If this happens to you and you're in this program and it's going really fast and you feel like you can't keep up, like what should I do? Should I drop out? Do not drop out. That is my first thing to say is do not drop out. Finish the school. Even if you don't understand what's going on, even if you feel so uncomfortable because you just don't know. Part of it is because this may be brand new to you and there is just a lot of things to learn, and maybe you're working full time and maybe this is your first time back in school after many years. Whatever the issue is, you need to put that aside. Finish the school. Do not drop out. Whatever you do, because of the simple fact that you've already paid the money, or you have a scholarship that you use to get in, or whatever the case may be. Whatever it is, finish the school. Dropping out, scrapping the whole idea is not an option for you, okay? Even if you say, well, Blue, I hate this, I don't want to do this. That's how you feel right now, because you're in uncertain times, right? You maybe have a teacher who's not supportive. You maybe feel like you were lied to and it's just making you mad that you are here and you're having to learn this now and you didn't know it was going to be this hard because they said it was going to be easy. I'm telling you right now, guys, if you can just ride out this time and go ahead and finish the course, that's your first goal. Finish the course. There is still time for you to study afterwards, because here's a newsflash. You don't have to schedule your test right away after you finish your program. You can have time to prepare yourself. And I tell you guys to take your test within at least 90 days of finishing a program. So if your program was 4 months and you say 90 days will make it 7 months, if you can study diligently, then I say to stretch it out to 9 months, study a few more months so that way you can be prepared and you don't feel as rushed, because you can still take the time to go through these workbooks and go through looking at the books and putting yourself in the situation where you're going to be able to start to understand, either finding a mentor, going to the association meetings and talking with the people there and seeing if you can just bounce ideas off of them, or you can get somebody to explain something, or even hiring a tutor. If you have to hire a tutor, it's okay, because it's an investment in you. It's an investment in your knowledge to be able to get into this field, because for whatever reason, you're here now. You are here now. And you got into this school, it maybe not what you thought it was going to be when they sold it to you. And now you just feel like you're like trapped. Don't give it up, guys. Don't give it up, because you never know the reason that you're here. If I questioned, because I say all the time, medical coding found me. It literally sought me out and found me, because I didn't know anything about it. I had no idea medical coders even existed. I didn't know this was a thing until I was unemployed. I went to the workforce office. They had a class that day about the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. At the time, it was called WIA. Now it's called WIOA. And they said, hey, we have these funds. We can send you back to school. And if you want to stay, we'll put you in contact with the school and, you know, we'll get you going from there. Well, a lot of people left. Well, I said, free money for school? Sign me up. So I wanted to go to school for accounting because they had accounting. I said, this is great. You know, I can do, you know, my own thing and, you know, have my own business and that'll be wonderful, right? Well, when I met my social worker, case manager, whatever, he said, hey, what about medical coding? And I said, oh, I don't do nothing with needles because I knew everything, right? I knew everything. I was unconsciously incompetent at the time saying that, right? Because I didn't know. And sometimes people don't know. And I was speaking like, oh yeah, I know. I didn't know anything. He's like, no. Medical coding is like when you're reading documentation from doctors and you're putting it into codes for statistical purposes and for insurance companies. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, you know, it's an office job. It's a really nice desk job. And, you know, there's a lot of stability in it. It pays really good money. He didn't really say like what they make, but he said, you know, it's stable and it's a stable industry and you're going to be doing well if you decide to do this. So I said, okay. And I said, well, he's like, well, you know what? He goes, let's just do this. He goes, you go to these 3 schools, check them out, see what they have to say. If you don't like what they have to say, then go ahead and come on back and we'll get you in that accounting program. So I went to these schools. And you know, when I went to these schools, they were trying to push these fast-paced programs. Again, I don't know what the heck is going on. I don't know anything about medical coding, you know, let alone this health information field, right? And so when I got to the last school, right? Because the first 2 schools were trying to sell me on this fast-paced oh yeah, our program is 6 months and you'll be on your way to a brand new career and you'll be making all this money. Both of them were talking money. So me, you can't buy me, right? Like you can't sell me on something and like put money in front of me and be like, oh yeah, no. Because the thing is, I like to think about what I like to do as far as like enjoying it. Am I going to enjoy my work? You know, I don't believe people when they were giving these outlandish starting salaries and things like that. So I was like, that doesn't sound right. And so when I get to the last school, she was like saying, okay, well, what do you know about medical coding? And I'm like, nothing. You know, my social worker sent me over here and I'm just trying to figure this stuff out. And she's like, okay, well, let me talk to you about this. So she was so patient with me. And she said, you know, there's AHIMA, there's AAPC, and she starts explaining all of these things to me. And then at the end, she tells me, oh yeah, and by the way, this is where coders start off at. That what she told me, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's reasonable. That makes sense. She's not trying to sell me on something. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go ahead and go here. Well, I was learning on my own. And so while it wasn't fast paced, they said it typically takes 9 months to get through this program, but you have a year to get through it. And they go, but it's at your own pace. So you go however fast you want to go. And so I said, okay, well, I finished in less time because I'm very driven and I like to study. And even though I did not have a teacher, that was one of the things that she was very clear about too. She's like, we don't have teachers here. She goes, we do have somebody who comes in and does like a seminar, you know, every week or so, and you can spend time with him if you like, but you know, we don't really have like hands-on teachers. You're learning it from a program. So I was like, okay. The guy was creepy. Okay. So I always talk about the creepy guy at my school. He was creepy. He's still creepy. But anyway, so going through all of this, I could have gotten discouraged, right? I could have. I could have said, oh man, this really sucks because, you know, I don't have nobody to teach me. I'm really confused because there was some things that I was just like, what the heck am I reading? What am I reading? And I would just like have to read it over and over again. And I'm just like, this doesn't make sense to me. But I had to go through it. I had to walk through it. And I had to walk in faith in those times when I was just like, what did I get myself into? And at that point, I was so far into it because I had flown through medical terminology. I had flown through anatomy. I had flown through medical law and ethics. I had flown through all of those first parts because that interests me. I like that stuff. And I had never really, you know, studied it. So that was one of those things that I got lucky there. But I started to have to kind of like slow down when I got to the coding part. And I was just like, this isn't I get some of it, but I'm still kind of lost. So I had to keep going through it, and I had to keep working through it. And I had to keep reminding myself, I'm going to get a good job. I'm going to get a new career. I am going to start my life over again. I was in the middle of a divorce. I had moved back home with my mom. And so, you know, I was okay living with my mom because I love my mom. My mom was very close. We were very, very close. And she passed away a few years ago. But she is the reason that I have my career today. She is, hands down. I would not be where I am if it weren't for her. And so I have to thank my mom every day for that. And so with that, you know, I had a great support system. And I know sometimes folks find themselves, you know, in these fast-paced programs and they don't have the greatest support system. Guys, this is one of those things where you really do have to kind of rely on yourself. And it takes you to build up and be strong about it. And sometimes people say, well, Blue, that's really not me. And, you know, I just don't know what to do and I feel alone. It's okay. It's okay. Because actually, you know, we all go through this. No matter what happens, what anybody says, oh, yeah, it was so easy for me. It's all a lie. No, it's not easy for anybody, because these things, these rules, these coding guidelines, everything changes, right? And just when you think, yeah, you got it down, something else new comes along that you have to learn. You know, we have to know what a doctor knows while never having gone to medical school. That should be your first thought when you're trying to get into these medical coding programs, is that we have to learn medical stuff. We have to know about surgeries and diagnoses and the disease process, and we have to know about procedures, and we have to know all these things. And doctors get 10 to 15 years to be a doctor, right? We get 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months. So like I said, don't beat yourself up if you find yourself in a fast-paced program. They do this to a lot of people. These fast-paced medical coding programs are businesses. At the end of the day, they don't care about, I shouldn't say they don't care, but what I should say is rather, it's going to be their business first. And then if they are worried about the individual, that's going to come secondary. Because at the end of the day, they are a business. They have overhead, they have staff, and their staff have families. So they have to think about, you know, how can we sell this field in a way that is attractive to people who may not have ever known anything about it, you know? And so that's why they say all of the great and glittery, beautiful things. And while you should expect that there's going to be some things about this industry that you may not enjoy, you should also expect that it's rewarding. And that if you work hard, you can actually reach higher heights than you could have ever imagined. You know, when I started, I thought about, because I had joined AHIMA as a student, and I started reading about all these conferences that they have, and, you know, and I would see all the pictures from the different conferences, and I said, wow, I was like, you know, I would tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, one day I want to go to these conferences. I want to say, oh, hey, let's go to Chicago or whatever. And I had planned that. I had said, you know, Mom, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go, and we're going to go to these things together. And so she's like, okay, you know, and so, gosh, I don't want to start crying, but that was what I enjoy, right? And so a couple of years later, I found myself getting invited to go up to Chicago to the AHIMA headquarters. And I served on a task force, right? And so I got flown up there and everything. And it was just an amazing experience to be up there in Chicago and actually seeing these things and being a part of the association and having my time in, you know, just a couple of years, being still brand new, but still having something to offer the association and still having something to offer the industry. And so that's where it all begins. But you have to have the idea, you have to have the mindset of, okay, I may not have been dealt the best hand when it comes to the school, but that's okay. I'm going to take back my power, and I'm going to start digging into these books, because you can learn on your own. I show you guys so many times all the books that I recommend. all the puzzles I was working on. Like the books that I recommend, the CPC study guide, okay? You can work through this workbook and you can see the answers because it does give the answers and the rationale. You can work through the American Hospital Association, ICD-10-CM and ICD-10-PCS coding workbook. And it's the coding handbook with the answers. It's got the rationale in it. It's got scenarios in it. And it's a really, really good book. And you can just take the time to work with your coding books and work through those two workbooks. Guys, you're going to be on your way to learning this on your own. And again, if you have to reach out and find a mentor, find a tutor, find somebody who can help you, give you a hand, then that's what you have to do. But don't get so mad at the school that you drop everything and you lose money. You lose money, you lose time. Two things that you can never get back, right? The money that you paid to the school and that time that you spent learning. And then if you want to get mad, don't let that anger cloud your judgment and get in the way of what your future could hold. Don't let it do that. Don't let it. Because at the end of the day, like I said before, at the end of the day, it is your rodeo. Whatever you do in this life, you only get one. You only get one. And that's it. So if you want to do this, you're not going to let the fact that you got into a fast-paced school stop you. You're not going to let it scare you into, what do I do now? You're going to stick with it, and you're going to finish the program, even if you feel confused. Then you're going to wait to take your test because you're going to continue to study. And that studying time should motivate you, especially if you didn't get you went through the school fast, and now you're having to study on your own. It's okay. Take your time to study. Try to go no more than 3 months, right? 90 days, right? But if you need another month, make sure that you're studying that other month. And that you're not saying, oh, well, I'll get to it. Because at the end of the day, you need that time to study so that you can prepare. And I've already done my how to prepare yourself for the CCS or how to prepare for the CPC. Plus all of my other study tip videos. So look at those videos and check them out so that way you can see. Maybe there's something in there that can help you to study. But guys, stay with it. Don't give it up. Just because you got into a fast-paced program, it happens to a lot of people. But again, don't let that steal from you what you want, which is a better life, right? You want a better life, you want a better career, something that's different from what you're doing, right? And even if you have no background in medical, don't let that deter you either. Because yes, you can. I came from no background in medical. I was very blue collar before I got into this. I delivered phone books. I cleaned houses. I worked at a halfway house. I worked at a bar, you know, so I did all of those things trying to survive. And now look, I have a great career. I have a wonderful growing YouTube channel. I have a growing Patreon channel. And I do a lot of things for the community. I do. And so that to me is great. This is a wonderful, wonderful life that I have. And I'm happy with my work. So much that I don't feel like I'm working. And you can be that way too. But it takes dedication and it takes you putting yourself into it. That's all I got for today. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But guys, stick with it. Do not stop just because it's a fast-paced program. And, you know, you wish you would have looked and done your research beforehand. It's okay. It happens. Just finish it. And keep going. Whatever you do. All right. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.